Most mass-marketed applesauces are nutritionally similar to ice cream. That's not me saying this. This is literally the World Health Organization that is saying this. It's also most doctors' associations. Certainly the Pediatrics Association in the EU has a huge push against fruit purees for babies, okay? And the history of feeding your children fruit purees is really recent, which is something that a lot of people don't realize. Like, this is a recent trend. I don't blame moms for thinking that it's healthy, because literally it has been marketed as being healthy for decades, but that is a lie, right? Just like how they used to market Diet Coke as being healthy, right? Even light cigarettes, that used to be marketed as healthy, but like, we know better now. I am not making anything up when I'm saying, it's not me saying that like mass marketed applesauce is nutritionally similar to ice cream. It's literally the World Health Organization. And I mean, I haven't even mentioned, like, you literally don't even know what you're eating. Aside from literally polyurethane adhesives, toxic oligomers, microplastics, that many times, this one has no added sugar. Well, guess what? It has high amounts of lead. Nothing has been done to prevent this from happening. In fact, it has actually been made worse because Trump has completely eliminated the group of researchers that discovered this problem. So this is more likely to happen now than it was back then. So fruit purees and any kind of pureed food really became popular right around the 1920s, because that's when the invention of mass market canning became widely available. Before then, you really couldn't get fruits or vegetables unless you grew them yourself and they were in season. And so the fact that they were able to put them in cans and, you know, you could have fruit all year round was a huge innovation. And the company that eventually founded Gerber, right, that family, they were one of the first canning companies that thought of putting peas and whatnot and mass marketing and selling that, okay? Pureed foods was only something you ever gave like sick people and old people when their teeth started decaying. But they had this idea of giving it to children. And then it really became popular in the 1950s because it was supported by this whole idea of like convenience, right? And that is really what was convenience and futuristic science modern, right? They were really against anything that was primitive, right? And by the way, breastfeeding and making home cooked food, that was viewed as primitive. That was also the first version of mom shaming, because women, it was being marketed to parents that they were only good parents if they purchased the right products for their children. And that was a big mentality shift, right? Because it was all about consumerism, right? That was what the 1950s and 60s were all about. And so being a good mother really meant that you purchased the right products, because that is what ultra processed food companies wanted mothers to think, that they were bad moms, that they didn't purchase the right products. That didn't exist before. And we're still living with that today. But applesauce was one out of many fruit desserts, right, that was marketed specifically towards babies. And there were many different desserts that were specifically marketed to kids, right? Like chocolate pudding, caramel, banana, and strawberry, right? And so having pureed desserts for babies, that was very popular. And obviously kids loved it, right? However, obviously people started realizing like, oh, this is really bad, right? And so eventually a lot of these fell away, and instead they basically put the same ingredients with different marketing. Now they're all marketed as being organic, healthy, brain boosting. No, they are chock full of tons of additives, and they are a very far cry from what the original product was. And the more a food is processed, the more nutritional content it loses, right? You literally have to pasteurize most of the good bacteria out of it in order to make it shelf stable. So it doesn't even and so even if it's unsweetened, it still has a fraction of the actual benefit to your body versus just eating an apple. And by the way, kids need to eat solids. There's no real benefit towards kids eating purees. It is not necessary. This started about 100 years ago. It is not, it's just not necessary. There's many doctors out there that talk about this. It is not me saying it. It would literally just be me reading their studies.